What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for some more updates for you. The summer of change continues at Tottenham Hotspur. Nobody is safe.
Talking about change, Ben, you've changed your age today. It's Ben's birthday today.
Yeah.
Come on, everyone in the comments, wish Ben a big happy birthday. Come on. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Ben. Happy birthday to you. Come on. Day before his birthday, and bit the bullet.
I'd rather have your birthday, to be honest, because the day before your birthday, we won the Europa League. So, it's what it is.
It's fate from the gods for you being out for so long. It's fate.
Yeah, I guess I deserved it with how hard I went for him throughout the season. So I'll take it. But no, thank you very much, and thank you.
Maybe God got confused. He thought that's what you wanted. Maybe that's what it was.
I should have told him. But yeah, look, the summer of change is continuing. More exits and more culls are happening at Tottenham Hotspur as Chief Football Officer Scott Munn has been shown the door as well at Tottenham, as reported by Matt Law, as well as Mile Jedinak, Nick Montgomery, and Sergio Raimundo also leaving Tottenham. Matt Wells and goalkeeping coach Rob Birch as well apparently are staying, but it does remain to be seen if a new appointment will impact Wells and Birch. And Johan Lang and Fabio Paratici are expected to take responsibility together in the summer window. So yeah, nobody's safe at Tottenham, it seems, at this moment in time.
Yeah, even reports that maybe Levy's not safe. But anyway, that's rumours, unsubstantiated. But coaches, yeah, we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? Did we think there's going to be a shake-up? I think we hypothesised probably yes, and it looks like that's come to pass. Scott Munn, I think we've heard about for a while, about the potential of him leaving. Seems as though he's come in. And look, 2 years ago, obviously he came in to oversee footballing operations, I think. No, was that him? Yeah. The footballing side. And I was obviously excited about that because it meant Levy's taking a step back, and hopefully it meant better footballing decisions. And he brought in Ange, and hasn't worked. And it's been a disaster. He's been out the door in just over 2 years' time. Going to have to go another direction. So do we think Fabio's going to replace him? Is that going to be Fabio's position, are we thinking?
Yeah, I imagine so. I imagine Lang will stay as the kind of sporting director of football, and he'll go like Paratici will go above him in, I don't know if it'll be called the same role, but it'll be more or less the same in a chief football officer kind of role.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to Montgomery and for who's the other guy?
Raimundo.
Wait, is Jedinak still? Jedinak, no?
Yeah, Jedinak's gone.
Jedinak, yeah. I think they got to be part responsible for their look. They're part of the coaching staff that tries to.
They were Ange's guys, though, weren't they?
Ange's guys. Ange appointed them. If Ange is taking responsibility for where we are in the league, they've got to take their part as well. So if we're saying that the coaching wasn't good enough, then they're part of the coaching. So they got to go.
Yeah, you look at it as well, like when each manager has gone and each manager has come in, there's been a portion of the coaching staff, like Ryan Mason, that have always stuck around. This time, it just seems like it's going to be a completely fresh approach. Obviously, Matt Wells and Rob Birch will still be there, but he is saying it does remain to be seen once the new manager comes in if they actually do keep their jobs.
Ange didn't bring in Wells, did he? I think he was there before.
No, I think so, yeah.
He was there before. And Birch as well, I think. No, I think he did bring in Birch.
Ange brought in Birch, yeah.
Yeah, he did bring in Birch. But obviously Birch was a Tottenham Academy player. So I don't know if he has obviously closer ties to the club rather than these other guys who just been brought in through Ange. So look, I think it's also because we know Frank has a team. Unlike Ange, Frank has his own team of coaches who he brings with him. And I think it's likely Frank's going to want to bring them along. And I don't think there's going to be room for these guys. So I think that's just what we had to do.
Yeah, it's like we had the Australian kind of governance at Spurs, the Australian management, they're all gone. Before that, we had like the Italian management. They all went. I think we had at one point with Franco Baldini, and we had an AVB. We had the Portuguese lot. They've all gone. Now it's time to make room for the Danes, I guess.
100%. A Danish revolution incoming at Tottenham.
Yeah, and talking of the Danish revolution, Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham are advancing well on Thomas Frank's appointment as new head coach, with more talks to follow next week. The club are optimistic to make it happen. Matt Law says that Thomas Frank is interested in taking over from Postecoglou. Frank would ideally want to take a number of members of his Brentford backroom staff to Tottenham. Frank is considered a leading candidate to Postecoglou, although his exit fee, believed to be in the region of 10 million, may still provide to be a stumbling block, as Lang and Frank used to share an office when they were coaching together at Danish club Lyngby, and they are said to have maintained a very good relationship. Spurs are still carefully assessing all their options. And Miguel Delaney, sorry?
No, go on, yeah.
And Miguel Delaney says, as recently as April, Thomas Frank was liked, but not near the top of the list. Now he's close to the job itself, having leapt ahead of many other candidates.
So who was ahead of him before in April, do we think?
Maybe Marco Silva. Maybe I think Andoni Iraola.
Yeah, you're right, because he was the talk of the town, wasn't he, around that time?
Yeah.
And then he's, because maybe that into the season's really scuppered his chances of becoming Tottenham manager. Yeah, I think for me, I think Frank is, because like even Iraola, like, credit to him. Look, I'm not taking anything away, but at least he like spends a bit of money, you know, and they've got a bit of a deeper squad. You look at the squad of Bournemouth, so much more quality than what's called in Brentford, in my opinion. And the wages as well a lot higher. So the fact, I think Brentford finished above them in the end, didn't they? So, and also
they finished on the same points, I think.
The same point. I think Frank as well. Obviously, has shown it in the Premier League for 4 years. Iraola 2 years. So I guess not too much different, but I think it's the right choice, because the problems we had with Ange about super intensity, playing 2 games a week with that kind of style, I always question whether Iraola, because he kind of really bases his game around that, and whether, if we have worries or concerns about that approach, then I think bringing Iraola doesn't alleviate that, so it wouldn't make sense. At least with Frank, he's adaptable. Some games you can go high press, some games you can change it up. So I think it makes more sense. So yeah, look, heating up. We've heard, you know, it's very close, and I think this is one obviously likely to happen. The noise is too much, and I welcome him. And as much as I didn't want Ange to leave, and as much as I wanted him to stay, I'm going to obviously get behind him, and I'm gonna look when he signs, and I'm very, very intrigued to see how his methods and how he does in with more money, with a bigger club, with more quality in the squad. You know, is he going to approach it in a different way to how he does with Brentford? How different is it going to be? I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued to see how it goes. And from that side, it can be seen as a bit exciting. I just think it's, on the face of it, it's just a very sensible appointment, which is going to help stabilize the league form and maybe help us be a bit more, stop us losing 22 games, I guess, is the main thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he could be good.
I think, look, like I said before, like, I think it's an exciting appointment. I think he's a good manager. I just feel like the way Ange Postecoglou has been sacked from this role does leave a bitter taste in a lot of Spurs fans' mouths 2 weeks after, you know, the glory that we all went through the week of the parade and the trophy lift and all that kind of stuff. So he's got a big task on getting the fans on side, and he's got a big task getting the players on side. I've got no doubt, like, his managerial and tactical nous, you know, he can be a success here. But his initial stages in this job, in getting the fans and the players on side, is going to be a big, big task for him. And obviously the step up from Brentford to Tottenham is a massive step up. Can he do that? Remains to be seen. Can he juggle all the competitions that we're in? Also remains to be seen. And on top of that, he's going to have to get massive help from the hierarchy, whoever it may be, Johan Lang and Fabio Paratici, in filling this squad with quality that we can challenge on all those fronts.
100%. I just get the feeling that we've looked at him and looked at how he overperforms his wage, the wage budget that he has at Brentford, and how he gets so much out of his players. And I think that's a big reason why we looked at him and thought, clearly we're not getting enough out of this squad, and Ange is telling us we need all these experienced players and we need loads of signings. We don't want to go down that route. We want to basically get more out rather than try and get as much out of this squad as possible. And I think Frank is kind of the guy to do that. That's how I feel. That's how I feel the board is thinking. Not to say they won't spend any money. I'm sure they will, but I think Ange would have maybe been calling for a lot more money to be spent this summer than maybe Frank would, in my opinion. That's kind of the feeling I get. But
it's just like you can do that to a certain extent in the Premier League against like the bottom half teams and potentially get results against the top half teams as well. But can you do that whilst juggling Champions League football as well at the same time? Like that is the big question mark for me. Like, you know, playing a Man City or a Liverpool or an Arsenal on a weekend and then going to face Real Madrid and Inter Milan or something like that on a Wednesday. You know, like how's he going to manage that with the squad that we've got?
Agreed. He's going to need a lot, especially as well. You know, Romero. I don't know if you're getting into it, but you know, they're hearing a lot of disgruntlement in the squad. We spoke about it yesterday. Some players are not happy, and maybe we'll see who wants to leave now off the back of this, obviously, news. And that's going to mean a lot of going to have to be very, very smart with our recruitment on that front as well. If we need more centre backs, more wingers, it's going to be very interesting. But as well with Frank, like the way he plays his wingers is very much more inside forwards, which definitely would suit our wingers at the moment. But it's going to be interesting to see who we kind of look to sign off the back of that, because we've been thinking about wingers for so long. Like we need players who are touchline wingers, but Frank doesn't really do that. It's very different. So it's going to be interesting to see how our recruitment changes. I think he would still maybe want someone like Tell potentially, because he would suit that. But Eze all of a sudden, does Eze become a priority still? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it because he played 3 formations over the course of the season. Would be 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, and I think a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, whichever way you want to look at it. I think it was a 3-5-2 with the wing backs with Lewis Potter-Keane and I can't remember.
Lewis Potter-Keane, a wing back, yeah.
So I can't really see any of our wingers suiting the wing back role, but we've got bang wing backs in Doggy, Porro, Spence can play that role, and I like the idea of playing a 2 up top as well with the 3-5-2 with Sonny and Solanke maybe in sharing that role. And I think our the way he plays the 4-3-3 and 4-2-3-1 can really suit us as well. I think it suits us a bit more than maybe the way Ange deploys it.
Potentially, I think logically it could. But obviously, it's going to take time, isn't it, for all those formations for Tottenham to get up to speed with all of them, isn't it? You would think. You have to spend a lot of time on the training pitch. But hopefully, the earlier we get him in, the better it can be. But we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. Look, I think there is stuff to be excited about, but it's not. It's just like an appointment. Like I know it's done now, but it's not one I would have sacked Ange over. I wouldn't be like, oh, we have to get Frank in. We have to get rid of our manager. Like I wouldn't have been that desperate. But again, if he lost that final, I would have been like, this is a great appointment, to be honest. And maybe if you're looking with that hat on, maybe it's the right thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just because of what we've been through over the last 2 weeks, and just because it leaves that bitter taste in the back of your mouth after celebrating the most we've ever celebrated as a Spurs fan. And then all of a sudden you're changing manager where we didn't really think we wanted to change manager. You're going to Thomas Frank, who's not really experienced at this kind of level. So, I mean, that's the kind of worries about it. And obviously the impending player disgruntlement, trying to get the fans on board, like all those kind of things works against him right now. But I got faith that he can turn it around. I really do.
I also just think like when I love football for like narratives and stuff, and I just think the romanticism of like Ange winning that Europa League to keep his job, then like taking us on and everyone behind him, and all of a sudden going into next season, all that positivity and that momentum, that would be like such a great story. But then changing it for Frank and going in that direction, I think it's not as good. But then look, Frank has his own journey, and I'm sure the more I look into him, I know what he's about, but obviously I don't know him as well as like we've looked into Ange because he was our manager. So I'm sure the more I look into Frank, I'll get very excited, just like I did with Ange. Because I remember I wasn't so keen on Ange before as well. And I looked into him and I saw what he was all about. I was like, okay, I can really buy into this guy. And I'm sure the same will happen with Frank.
Yeah. So, look, I think it's a good appointment. But, look, at the end of the day, you're only as good as what you've got at your disposal to a certain extent. So he really needs help from everyone involved. And the fans need to back him from the off and need to show him the love and welcome him to the football club. and we'll see what happens with the situation to the hierarchy. But he did say that the fee, the exit fee, the release clause in his contract, 10 million, may still provide to be a stumbling block, which is interesting.
So I was about to say, when you brought that up, I was like, don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare. You've put us all through this. You've sacked our manager. You've got your number one target. Yes, 10 million is a significant release clause, but you paid a fucking fee. Don't you dare come here and say that is too much to get our number one target for a manager, because you think that the manager was so badly in need of changing, right, that you've gone and sacked him even though he's won the Europa League, and now you're looking at our number one choice and thinking, do we really want to pay that 10 million? No, don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare.
Well, you say that, but there have been reports to Marco Silva this morning as well.
I have seen that. I've seen that.
So iNews are saying that Tottenham have sounded out Silva about becoming the new head coach on more than one occasion. His representative have been contacted again. Frank replacing Ange Postecoglou is not considered a done deal, despite Brentford being braced for an approach. It could be a fight between them two to succeed Postecoglou. And Record, a publication in Portugal, say that Silva is set to swap Fulham for Tottenham. He's very close to taking over at Spurs. Record knows that the agreement between the parties is close to being reached. I mean, I'm not sure how much I buy into that.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if there has been conversations, because clearly Spurs have been shopping themselves around, haven't they, in the lead up to Ange's sacking, and maybe post sacking, or maybe post like the season, knowing he's going to be sacked as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's conversations, and maybe there's some sort of like, if we want you, what would you want, kind of money wise? Well, maybe those conversations will be had, but I don't think he's our number one choice. Clearly, I think Frank is the one we're going for. I don't think there's any sort of agreement when it comes to, okay, we're going to shake hands on this, you're going to be our new manager kind of agreement. Maybe there's like a verbal agreement, like if you were to become our manager, this will be your wage. Maybe they've had those conversations, I don't know, but I doubt they've shaken hands on him being the new Tottenham manager. I highly doubt that. I don't think that's true. I think the guy we want is Frank. So I don't believe, look, maybe there's sometimes with these reports there's some half-truths. Maybe there has been conversations, but I don't believe that when they're saying there's been an agreement between him and Tottenham. I don't believe that.
He said that Record Portugal are saying it's very close, but they're literally the only ones reporting it. So
I think it's going to be Frank. I don't know.
He has done a phenomenal job at Fulham this last couple of seasons, Marco Silva.
He's done well. Look, credit as well. He has done well.
He's got out of players like Alex Iwobi, you know what I mean? Like he's been brilliant.
Another manager had a pretty bad end to the season, similar to Iraola. Yeah. I think they drew twice this season to Southampton. Like, how are you doing that? But I get you. You're right. The Alex Iwobi, got on the best for a time anyway out of Raul Jimenez. Got him back to some sort of form. Muniz was in great form. Even lost Mitrovic, lost Paulinho, and still didn't let it affect them really, and managed to kind of change things up to make sure that they got over that. I don't know. I've looked at his career and I'm just not certain he would be the right pick for us. I'm not certain in 18 months. I guess same with Frank, but I'm more certain that Frank is a better long-term pick than someone like Silva. That's just my feeling that I get with him and his kind of personality. I think Frank would be more willing to work within the club parameters. I feel like Silva would, I don't know, would get frustrated. He's quite outspoken sometimes. But then again, with Fulham, he's been able to put up with a lot. And he's still there. So I think, look, I'm not taking anything away from him, but I would rather Frank.
Yeah, look, I do agree, but I think I probably hold Silva just in a bit of a higher estimation. Yeah, I like Silva. I like what he's about. I like the jobs that he's done. Even in some of the jobs that he's done, ended up being poor. Like, when he left Everton, he left them in a bad state. Hull, obviously, he got relegated there, but he did show good signs at both those clubs as well.
Watford, he signed for Watford and then asked to leave in January.
Yeah,
and then got sacked because the form was so bad post that. Him asking, sorry, I think he asked to leave in like September. It was mad. He asked to leave so really early, like they wanted him because he had a good start to the season, and then the form fell off really badly, and he got sacked in January because he got distracted. And then I think in the summer he ended up getting the Everton job. But yeah, he's that kind of character. I don't know if Tottenham will look at that and think, is that the kind of character we want? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it looks like those two are the two front runners, though. So I do think it will be Frank, though. we're going to talk about the players now, because Alistair Gold said that he expected a reaction from the Spurs players to Postecoglou going, but he's never seen a reaction like this. Even with Pochettino, there was an understanding that Mourinho was already in place, and perhaps some didn't want to be disrespectful. And he says the players are just really not happy at this moment in time. Look, we covered that a bit yesterday, and we brought you a lot of the player reactions, which we got more to go through.
But go on. No, I'll just say quickly on that. Okay. Yeah, go on.
You go.
Okay. I was just say quickly on that. I've seen a lot of people being fairly critical of him putting that out there, suggesting that he's only going off the tweets that the Spurs players have put out for that information.
I saw that conversation.
But he replied saying, "Look, I've been working in this business for 10 years. I've got a lot of contacts at Tottenham. I'm not basing what I'm saying just off the Instagram posts and tweets off the players. Like, you should give me more credit than that," basically, he was saying.
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm. And look, he is privy to more information than the general public. I think that's for sure. And look, if he says the players are not happy off the back of this, it's something that you got to believe in. And I do firmly believe it. And when you see the outpouring of love the players have given Ange since leaving, I think it's there for all to see anyway. But obviously he knows a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But look, it's massively concerning when you think about it, when you think about the big players that could potentially leave this summer, or not even just leave, just even if they stay, like how quickly would it be for them to buy in to what Frank is trying to do after working under Postecoglou and loving it?
Yeah, and I think the worry thing for me is, as much as I stand by what I said before, I think Frank is the kind of manager who can get a lot of these players on side. The problem, the worrying thing for me is, if there are players now off the back of this who do want to leave, then all of a sudden you're changing again the dynamics of the group. Now, the group clearly last season they were so together, right? Because of everything that happened and then winning the Europa League. They're very, very together. They clearly must be a very tight-knit group. And you're now changing all that up. You're potentially losing some leaders, potentially Romero, who I don't know. If some people, I don't know if there are players who do want to leave or not, but let's say there are, off the back of this decision. Now you're changing the dynamic of the squad. You're potentially changing leaders out of the group. You're now potentially going to have to bring in a whole load of new players because you've got to replace those players who've got to leave. And now you have to kind of create that environment again. And that may take time to cultivate. And that is something that you're basically risking the equilibrium of that dressing room by making the decision. Now, it's not to say we can't get that back and Frank can't get that quite quickly because of the man management style. But I'm just saying we had it and now you're risking it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go through some of the other player reactions to Ange leaving and the messages that they've been sending, because we brought you so many over the past couple of days, yesterday, and even more have come through today. So let's go and have a look at them. This one is Brennan Johnson. Obviously, Brennan had a brilliant time under Ange, became a club hero. He didn't really say much, but just thank you for everything, Gaffer.
Yeah, it's interesting. A few words there from Brennan, but I would have thought, because he was, scored lots of goals under him. But fair enough, that's what he wanted to say. But yeah, nice message.
It's interesting with Brennan Johnson as well, because Frank wanted him at Brentford, so he'll have a clear plan of how he'll want to use him as well.
Yeah, I think I can't remember what happened. Did we gazump Brentford, or they? I think they were. Did they try? I think they tried to get him before their PSR deadline, didn't they? For like 35 million, and it nearly happened or something.
I can't remember exactly. I think they couldn't agree a fee with Forest in the end, but I don't exactly remember 100%.
I think he was close, though. He was close, if I remember.
This next one is from Pape, and he says, "To the boss, thank you for being part of my journey. You have made me a better player, a better man, and most of all, you made history with every single one of us. For that, I'll always be grateful. Wish you all the best, Gaffer."
Another lovely message. And yeah, a lot of people a few of the players have said better player and better man. Those two words, which is quite, I think, interesting that they've both been saying that. But yeah, I don't remember Tottenham manager getting sacked in this many posts from.
There hasn't been. That's why you don't remember it.
Yeah.
But Pape, as much as he, got a little bit of a chance. No, not really. I mean, Ange is the one that gave him his real chance at Tottenham, playing him consistently week after week in that midfield.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird under Conte. Like he came in, played well, and then it was not never seen again.
Yeah,
And Andrew was one who really trusted him to play consistently.
yeah.
And yeah, I think he owes him a lot. He feels he's really developed under him.
Next one is from Destiny, and he says, "A lot needs to be said, but I just want to thank you for the work that you did and for believing me over these past 2 years. I wish you the very best for everything that's coming your way." So he clearly doesn't feel like he got everything off his chest, but it was a nice message nonetheless.
Yeah, I do. Well, I do wonder what he means by a lot needs to be said. Do wonder what he means by. Does he mean a lot needs to be said about how he doesn't agree with the sacking, or do you just mean a lot needs to be said like I've got a lot of thanking to do for
Probably a
you?
bit of both, to be honest.
Maybe a bit of both, but yeah, it's quite telling. But again, another lovely message, and yeah, obviously ended the season brilliantly, Destiny. But yeah, not really nice message again.
Now, this is the message, man. This is from Sonny. Look at that picture. So Sonny did a really long message. He says, "Gaffer, you've changed the trajectory of this club. You believed in yourself and us since day one and never wavered for a second, even when others did. You knew what we were capable of all along. You did it your way, and your way brought the club the best night it had in decades. We will have those memories for life. You trusted me with the captaincy, one of the highest honors of my career. It's been an incredible privilege to learn from your leadership up close. I'm a better player and a better person because of you. Ange Postecoglou, you are a Tottenham Hotspur legend forever. Thank you, mate." That is
That's
such a nice message from Sonny, man. And I'm actually, while I was reading that, I was like, my hairs and my arms were standing up, man.
goosebumps welling up while reading that. So that's such a nice message, and yeah, obviously giving him the captaincy was great call from Ange Postecoglou, knowing that Sonny was the right fit for that. But obviously, Son would have seen, he's there with all of Ange's speeches whenever he talks and how he's with the players, and yeah, the leadership that Sonny would have taken from that. You can see how he's taken it and how he's taken all that on board. And yeah, it's interesting for him because a lot of people think maybe Son wasn't what's it called, the best version of himself potentially under Ange, or wasn't the best fit, but he seemed to kind of he's the same with Asai. He said you made me a better player and a better person.
Yeah.
Another line being used there again, which is very telling.
Unbelievable. You changed the trajectory of this club. Let's hope that's true.
Well, he won the trophy, so hopefully that already silences the noise.
Yeah. But
Just
that's
that.
I think that's the best message yet, Sonny.
Yeah. We were waiting for it because we were hearing, we hadn't heard anything yesterday, had we?
Yeah, exactly.
And so like, wondering what's going on. And still a few players we hadn't heard from, so we were waiting to hear. But yeah.
This one's from Archie Gray, just a nice short one saying thank you for everything, Gaffer. And yeah, another one that Thomas Frank did try to sign from Brentford, that we gazumped them in the last hours of the deal. And he said when he signed, Ange Postecoglou was a massive part of that.
Yeah, for sure. And it was interesting to think what kind of role Frank has in store for him, because obviously, as you say, he wanted him. So I'm very intrigued. That's a lovely picture there. Really nice picture.
What else we got? This is from Mikey Moore. Just says, "Thank you for everything, boss." I mean, Mikey Moore will forever be indebted to Ange Postecoglou for giving him his chance.
Absolutely. And obviously, he got his first goal under him as well. And yeah, broken to the first team a bit under him. So as much as a lot of people think, he could have played more, blah, blah, blah. Look, for a 17-year-old, he'll be loving the amount of minutes he got this season, I think.
Yeah, and he became a record breaker as well, the youngest ever player to win the Europa League.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
Is there any more? This one's from Radu. Again, just thanks for everything, Gaffer. I always thought this wasn't the right fit in terms of Dragusin coming to Spurs in an Ange Postecoglou system, but now he's here, it might actually work.
Yeah, I think actually under Frank, I look at the centre backs that play for Brentford. I think Dragusin could easily be could kind of fit in one of those profiles.
And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it in terms of the outpouring of love. So the notable absentees are Romero and Maddison. Everyone's going on about Romero's future's tied with Ange Postecoglou, and and everything like that. But we haven't heard anything from him.
Yeah. Wonder why that is. Oh, maybe we will. Maybe he's
And Decky.
And Decky, Bentancur, another sense for as well we haven't heard from. So is there a reason for that? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Is it because it's hard to know. Maybe they are annoyed at the club. Maybe that's why we haven't, or maybe there's something else going on. I don't know. But we'll wait to hear what they got to say.
Yeah, so that's it. What we got for the Tottenham update. We got a couple of super chats to get into.
Did you go? Yeah, go on.
Renegan Kumar says, Levy ruined my birthday today. As always, Levy out. Your birthday as well, Renegan. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Yeah.
Crazy Rat, Sim's favorite.
Come on, Crazy.
Says, our tribal chief, Sim.
Come on. Big up to you, Crazy.
You tribal chief, you.
Tribal chief. I'm going to be the new chief of the Franken department soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. And this one, I think a Korean name, I've seen it before, but there's no chance I'm going to be able to read that. It just says, cheer up, come on you Spurs, with a heart emoji.
Big up, thank you.
So those are the super chats. What were you about to say before?
I don't know if you saw some of the articles yesterday from the BBC. Well, we went through some of it, but we didn't talk about what I felt was a bit of a hit piece from the BBC yesterday on Ange.
Explain yourself. Explain.
They're talking about Sammy Mockbell was claiming that in the latter months of Ange's tenure, the players and the manager grew distant, and the evidence he used for this was in his early days at Tottenham, he would have breakfast with the squad, and in the last few months, the coach has started sending his ham and cheese toastie to his office. That was the evidence for that's how distant they are. So forget all the messages we've seen and all the stuff we've seen about that looks like they're close. If you have your ham and cheese toastie in peace, you're growing distant from the squad, mate.
Would you not say, from the evidence that we saw from outsiders looking in, that their relationship just got stronger towards the end?
That's what it seemed to me. But they were saying that was evidence, and also he was saying another piece of evidence to suggest that there was a kind of distancing of their relationship was on away days. Ange wasn't seen at the hotel until noon, which I don't know when he regularly would have been seen at the hotel, but apparently that itself was evidence that their relationship was distant for some reason. It was a very odd article I was reading. I was like, what, like. I don't understand how this is evidence of a distant relationship, and this is why I called it a bit of a hit piece, because kind of trying to form this narrative that, like they've done with other coaches, but at least with other coaches there was more to go on. Here it's like he had a ham and cheese toastie by himself, so clearly the players didn't like him. It's like, what?
It sounds like just a bit of a click, just for clicks, basically. Like there's nothing really in it. He's just trying to make a story out of nothing.
But it's BBC we're talking about. I think it was. I'm trying to find the article. I'm trying to find the article. It was because I was going through. I was like, yeah, it said the cracks at Spurs. Yeah, this is it. He says, where is it? Tensions. No, this was blah, 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 blah. Where is it? Well, maybe it wasn't the B. Maybe it was the Athletic.
If it's Sammy Mockbell, it's the BBC. He just changed a role into the BBC now, didn't he?
No, but maybe it was. Maybe I'm thinking of it. Maybe I'm thinking of the other article. I might be thinking of another article. Yeah, I think this BBC article is. Oh yeah, here it is. This one. He said it had not gone noticed that Postecoglou had become increasingly distant from the squad in recent months. At the start of his reign, the Australian would regularly have breakfast at certainly at away games with the rest of his team. Recently, however, his obligatory ham and cheese toastie had been delivered to his room by a member of staff. That's all the evidence, by the way. That they're strained. That he had a ham and cheese toastie by himself. That's it. And he goes on to say, I've lost it again. He goes on those away trips. It'd be known for him to be visible around the team hotel. Not to be sorry on those away trips. It had been known for him not to be visible around the team hotel until noon. As a result, some players started taking issues they'd usually approach Ange with to other members of the backroom team.
Bunch of bollocks.
That isn't to say that the players didn't like Ange. They did. They found him a refreshing change from the insular and sulky demeanour of Conte. The public message of support for Ange since the final provides evidence that there remains a bond between the group and their manager. While Ange may have maintained a divide between himself and players in recent months, his loyalty to his staff cannot be questioned. So I don't understand where he starts off saying it's not going to notice that he's been increasingly distant, and then the evidence is he had a ham and cheese soda by himself, and then but then it ends the bit saying, but they still like him, and clearly there's a close bond. So it's like, what the fuck?
It sounds like absolute rubbish, because we know as well that Ange has said many a time like he likes to keep his distance a little bit from the players, and maybe in these kind of aspects, like, you know, like he wouldn't be there anyway. So I think this is just a bit of bollocks, to be honest.
But I don't understand how this made a BBC article. This is like ridiculous. What's quite interesting as well is they was talking about Ange Ball, over lines on Ange Ball. This isn't so much for him, it's quite interesting to know. He said certain members of the team felt during the first half of the season they were too open, and Ange should have considered making defensive tweaks. The Australian, apparently reluctant to adapt, led to a degree of internal frustration. And then they picked out 2 games, leading 2-0 at Brighton, and then losing 3-2, raised eyebrows, and there was similar angst when they lost 4-3 in December to Chelsea after leading 2-0. But they also go to say, intriguingly, well-placed sources insist that Postecoglou did indeed tweak his defensive approaches in both those games. So that's quite. So which is it? So he says some sources say they didn't, and then some sources say he did.
Well, yeah, he's just going on multiple sources, aren't they? And sources are telling him different things.
Yeah, but I think that was quite interesting.
I'm trying to think in those games what actually happened from a tactical perspective.
We know in the Chelsea game,
we go 5 at the back at Chelsea?
Well, in the Chelsea game, Romero and Van der Ven went off injured, didn't they?
But towards the end, didn't we go 5 at the back?
No.
Was it a different Chelsea game?
No, we were losing. We wouldn't have gone 5 at the back when we were losing.
Which was the game that we play Chelsea once and then went 5 at the back towards the end, and then ended up losing?
You mean the one we lost 4-1?
No, not that one. It must have been it couldn't have been a Chelsea game then.
No.
Was it a away game at Chelsea? Maybe.
Well, this season when he cut the
ear. Off my head. Simon says we went 4-4. Yeah, that's true. We did go 4-4-2 towards the end, didn't we?
Yeah, but we went 4-4-2 with Gray and Dragoshin at the back because Romero and Van der Ven both went off injured. In the Brighton game, I don't remember too many defensive tweaks, but obviously I haven't really sit down and analysed the game. But yeah, that was interesting to know. I think that sources either way are saying 2 different things in this article. But yeah, that's what I thought.
Eddie Scott says Ben is talking about the match where Ange said it was a mistake to stray from what got us to where we are. What match was that, though? What match was that, Eddie? I can't remember off the top of my head. I do remember that quite clearly. I just can't remember which game it was.
I'm guessing not the Everton game.
Well, he might have said that. Yeah, I think he did say that at the Everton game. Because we went 5 at the back and it's true, it was the Everton game. But I'm talking about an in-game change when we started.
I don't remember. I remember Everton. There was a couple of times, both years away. Everton we went 5 at the back, and ended up not going well.
Well, the first time it started off really well. We just let it slip at the end. It was a stupid foul.
Yeah, but we were 2-1 up, and we went 5 at the back, and then we ended up giving it away.
Yeah. Well, we didn't give it away though because of the formation. We gave it away because Kulusevski made a stupid foul and they got a goal off a set piece.
Yeah, but that 5 at the back was not a good decision.
I mean, yeah, we were just asking for it, weren't we?
Sam Caesar understand Tottenham already spoken to Frank to understand if he'd be open to the job. Frank currently seen as the front runner to take the job. Spurs have been planning this current situation for the last week. Romano says we were even talking to Frank before the final.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Which is a bit disappointing to me, but disrespectful to speak to another manager when Spurs are going into a European final. There has been reports as well that we spoke to De Zerbi. We were very interested in bringing De Zerbi in, and he rejected us.
That was from Romano. Which is odd. Well, yeah, De Zerbi rejected us again. He's a mad guy. I don't think he would have fitted in with this board. Obviously, he plays good football. Does play good football. Give him credit. But I think he would have completely lost patience with the board. I think wouldn't have worked.
I don't think much more news is going to drop today. I imagine this is probably going to get done by Monday or something. I don't think today or tomorrow.
I think we might hear some news about it being very close. I don't think we'll get an announcement, but maybe tomorrow, probably most likely Monday. We might hear news over the next 24 hours about it getting very, very close, I reckon.
What do you think it was that took this so long to sack him, though? Because if they didn't have the deal done in the background for Frank already, which it doesn't seem like that has been done, then what's taken so long to come to this decision?
I mean, they say it was because they weren't taking this decision lightly, but I don't see them discussing it for 4 days on end. Like that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? They had one discussion and and then they said it was unanimous. Like I don't think there was like there's like they're acting like it was a conclave or something, just hours and hours of bloody deciding and votes and revotes. I doubt that was how it went down. I'm pretty sure they had one board meeting. They all probably decided, look, we're going to move on from him. Maybe it just took him a while. Maybe they wanted all the stuff about him to die down because he won the Europa League and they wanted that feeling to die down before they sacked him. Because there was still outrage yesterday. Imagine the outrage if it was done a week ago. It would probably be even more.
Yeah.
So maybe that was it. They wanted the emotion to kind of die down a bit.
And ended up doing it on his 2-year anniversary, as someone just points out in the comments.
Yeah, which I don't like either. But
couldn't have done it a day after or a day before?
No, had to do it on the anniversary.
Classic Tottenham, isn't it? They just can't do it like just things in the right manner.
Not at all. But that is Tottenham for you. And I think all these
Someone said Maddison has posted his farewell. Let me see if I can
go on. This is a live what's it called? Now live.
It's not on Twitter.
Let's see Instagram. When's the farewell dropping? Drop the farewell. Drop it. Is that Lily?
Yeah. I can't see anything on Twitter about it.
It's on. I think it's on his Insta. Is it? Yeah. Oh wow, long one.
All right, let me get it up. 1 second.
Lily's not happy about it.
I can't go into Instagram on my computer because I'm not signed in. Don't know the login off the top of my head. Can you get it up on your computer?
Let's see if I can Instagram. Yeah, I can. Come on. Let's see. Yeah, I've got it here.
Go on, share your screen.
All right, it says, Gaffer, where to start? Firstly, thank you for bringing me to this wonderful club that I now call my home. Your instant belief in me to not only sign me, but make me the club's vice captain and part of the leadership group from the get-go is something I'll always be thankful for. Secondly, for the Europa League campaign that started in our stadium on game week 1 and finished perfectly with that special night in Bilbao. You led us to victory and we're European champions and in this club's history books because of you and your winning mentality. Lastly, and most importantly, is how you are as a man and as a person. Your unwavering self-belief and strong mindset is infectious and a massive reason in why you were the man to end this club's 17-year trophy drought. A family man with great morals, and I've honestly learned so much from you, more than you'll probably ever know. All the best, Madders.
Yeah, really nice message from Madison.
Another one, yeah, another really, really nice
one. Also, there were rumours across the season that, there were rifts between Ange and Madders, and Madders was being left on the bench a bit too much and stuff. But when it was all said and done, Maddison was probably one of our best players of the season.
Definitely, and especially I thought from like March time, I thought he really came into his own and started playing some of his best stuff. I didn't get maybe the full credit he should have, but I thought he was playing really well. March, April time, having some really good games. But yeah, clearly, look, everyone's got a lot to say, don't they? Most people anyway. Big.
Just waiting for Romero, Kuti, and Bentancur now. Maybe their English ain't that great, so maybe they're not going to put such a long message in. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think we'll leave it at that. Just one quick super chat here from Kamikaze saying Ange sacking was exactly 2 years since he signed. Yeah, we went through that. But look, I'm sure some more messages will come out and we'll bring them to you when they do. But that is the news for today. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, Spurs.